Hello there. Welcome to the Cannabis Man podcast. Thanks for clicking on the show. I'm Don Kleppen. And if it's your first time here, this is a show where we try to take a journalistic look at all things cannabis as the laws continue to change state by state. We're standing now in the U.S. at 37 states that have medicinally legalized cannabis, and 19 have done so recreationally. And as the laws continue to change, I just like to talk to people who are involved with the industry in some way. I've talked to cultivators for legalized dispensaries. I've talked with researchers, professors, and people who are not just looking into what cannabis does and doesn't do, doing some real great research now that more and more is being allowed in that regard, but also people who are teaching others about cannabis in various accredited universities. I've also talked with a lot of cannabis entrepreneurs who have different products. They've created things related to the cannabis industry that some of whom have made things that allow us to enjoy it in different ways. And I'm talking with a guest today on this episode who has created a topical for pain relief, and it's a home remedy that she has really brought up to a high level after being educated herself, and that topical is going on sale later this month. I want to say thanks for the great reviews and the feedback about the show that I've been getting lately. It's really wonderful to engage with you, the listener, and just talking with people about cannabis and answering questions wherever I can. If you ever want to leave a comment or have a question for a guest or about the show, just click that question or comment link in the show description notes. And if you haven't, please leave a rating or review, however you're listening to the show. If you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and hit the 5 stars, and any kind of rating or review really helps me out, standing out online from all the different podcast options people have to listen to out there, of which there are many excellent choices. And speaking of, let's launch this episode, the 28th episode of the Cannabis Man podcast. And I'd like to start this episode off by getting into the News Joint wrap, brought to you by IllinoisNewsJoint.com. Think of it as the joint you can hit for all your Illinois cannabis news and reviews. And I wanted to start with IDOA issuing the first social equity infuser permits. The Department of Agriculture for Illinois announced that 2 licenses were issued, operational infuser permits, and they'd successfully commenced business operations. Both are social equity licenses, and the first of which in Illinois. The 2 new businesses are Crown and MME Inc. Crown is a 51% women-owned and located in Pekin. MME Inc. is located in Homewood. Both businesses have been cleared to start infusing operations. The Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act says infuser licensees are able to directly incorporate cannabis or concentrates to produce a cannabis-infused product like edibles, vapes, and topicals. The announcement also says that since last year, the department's put out 88 craft grow licenses, 54 infuser licenses, 189 transporter licenses, and approved 10 community colleges to take part in a cannabis vocational training pilot program. And Homegrown Supplies Croptoberfest is this Sunday. Homegrown Supplies Inc. is scheduled to host Croptoberfest Sunday, October 30th, the day before Halloween. Croptoberfest will showcase food trucks, artists, giveaways, education, apparel, joint rolling competition, and other vendors and more. The event will run from 12 to 6 p.m. on the 30th. Homegrown Supplies is at 1519 East Main Street in St. Charles. The store's regular operation hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. weekdays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on weekends. And as always, if you'd like more information about any of these events, or you want to see some Illinois news related to cannabis, just head to IllinoisNewsJoint.com. Listener, my guest today is a very prominent member of Canada's medical cannabis program. She emerged emerged as a medical cannabis nurse under the program at first in 2014, and she then established Medical Cannabis Health Services, which is a company that aims to create products that fulfill a medical need regarding cannabis. And she's here to talk a little about her journey and what the company and what her goals are for that, and what she's offering to Canadians and anybody who can benefit from cannabis. Listener, please welcome Irene Donohue. Welcome, Irene.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me here today, Don.
My pleasure. So I like to start these off by getting to know you a little bit. Tell us why, how cannabis kind of entered into your life.
Okay. Well, I have been a cannabis consumer for many, many, many years, but it was in 2014 that I kind of switched over from recreational to medical purposes for myself. I had been suffering from arthritis from an early age and migraine headaches. And I had been through the gambit of all the treatments and nothing was really working. And then the pharmaceuticals they were giving me, I just couldn't function on them. And in long term, they weren't working for long term. So that's when I started my medical cannabis journey.
Cool. And I can totally relate to that. I've spoken with a lot of people who have similar journeys of discovery, basically that they were prescribed something for some symptom or condition that was obviously affecting their life in a negative way, and the pharmaceuticals, for one reason or another, or many reasons, they decided were not right for them. And it sounds like that was the case for you as well. And what did you find that was better about cannabis?
Well, first of all, the side effects. I mean, I wasn't having the side effects that I had from pharmaceuticals, and I had tried, physio, naturopath. I tried it all, and just nothing was really. There were things that would work for short periods of time, but I was looking for long-term management, I guess, of my symptoms. And night and day, the differences were night and day. I was at a point where I was it was probably taking me about 15 minutes to get out of bed. I have arthritis throughout my spine and hips.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was taking me a long, long time and just getting moving. And I was always very active, lots of sports, just gym, everything. So I was having to start quitting all my sports and quitting, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So cannabis allowed me to actually function. And basically, it was basic functioning.
Wow. Yeah. And I totally get that too. Just the notion having to stop things that you love or are used to, active things like sports, activities, just, even getting out of bed is something that, without pain is something that I'm sure a lot of people take for granted, and to have that taken away from you or sort of slowly lose the ability to do it, totally understand why that's like top of mind and something that had to change. And then so, it mentions on the website that I'm looking at, medicalcannabishealthservices.com. It's just mentioning that, so you registered as a cannabis patient, a medical patient, and then you started using that when the program was there in 2014. When did you start to sort of think to yourself that you're using it and it's improving your quality of life? What made you want to start Medical Cannabis Health Services to share it with others?
Well, I was curious immediately. I had known about cannabis and I known about THC, but that was about it, and that you got high from it and it made you feel good. Mm-hmm. That was about it. I wanted to learn more. Because this was going to be integrated into my life on a regular basis, I wanted to know exactly what I was doing, why I was doing it, and how I had to do it. From there, I started educating myself and taking courses. And then my mother, a year later, was diagnosed with dementia. So she was curious, and we started her therapy, and at first it was just for the anxiety and the sleep for her. Okay. And it really helped. So because it was helping her, of course, people were starting to come to me and ask questions, and I was started helping people, and then it was it got to the point where it was costing me too much money. So that's why I started the business.
Sure, that makes perfect sense, and I think it bodes well for any company that you want to start, where the concept is proven successful. Before the company's even launched, everybody's coming to you for help with this, with learning more about cannabis and how they can, how it can improve their lives the way that it did your mom's. It sounds like. And then what was sort of where did it go from there? I mean, as you say, it was kind of costing you too much money. Was it sort of like, were you then just buying in bulk and kind of distributing to people and like that sort of thing, and it needed to change from that?
No, actually, I have, so up here in Canada, being a medical patient, you also have authority to grow if you apply for. So I grow my own medicine, and I was growing my mom's medicine. I was her designated grower. I wasn't giving product to people, but what I was doing was educating them.
Got it.
And helping them navigate through the system in the early days, because it was very hard to find a doctor that would authorize for medical purposes.
Sure.
So I saw a real gap in the system on being a medical patient and how to get there and what was available to us.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel, that I think I see echoes of that in Illinois here as well. There certainly, from when the medical cannabis program first started to now, there's been a lot of growth, thankfully, in the conditions, the list of qualifying conditions that might allow someone to be prescribed medical cannabis. But when the program first started, it was a very short list of qualifying conditions, and it was very convoluted for anybody to kind of figure out who you might go see about it and how to go about getting prescribed. So I see that similarly here in Illinois, and can totally understand it must have been even more so, I would guess, in Canada too, just with that program. So how did from there, as you're starting to kind of, what were the early days, I guess, of the company like, and how's it going now?
So the early days of the company were going to patients' homes, educating them on cannabis, the endocannabinoid system, cannabis therapy, consumption dosing methods, and then helping them navigate the system. So from that, I am now a certified educator. I have certification through Green Flower down in California. Okay. Plus up here in Canada through the Michener Institute of Education. So we do now have certified, certification courses, and up here in Canada is an accredited certification.
Very cool.
Yeah. So some validity there, which is really nice. So from there, I because of my mother being a senior and I was getting more and more seniors coming to me. Mm-hmm. So then I was invited to a few events for speaking, and now I go around and I do education in congregate living for seniors.
Okay. That's
my kind of biggest niche.
Gotcha. Very, very cool. And I see just again on the website there, I see that it mentions sort of that you also do consumption and dosing strategies, like you help educate clients on that, along with instructing people on recipes for edibles and oils and such like that. What are your, just out of curiosity, what's your go-to kind of edible recipe? What do you, for somebody just starting out, like what's one that you would give somebody?
I make a killer gummy.
Awesome.
I make a really killer gummy, I have a really good recipe for gummies, and it's a little bit healthier. I don't use, I kind of substitute some of the ingredients for healthier options. It still has sugar though, so it's still a gummy.
Yeah.
But just some healthier options, and they're really nice because easy recipe, not that hard to do for people, and it's something that they can wrap their heads around, for instance. Yeah, and because I was allowed to grow, I experimented a lot. So I extract, I convert, I cook with it, I make oils.
Wow.
And that's where the topical came from. So because of my arthritis, I needed relief, topical relief, besides just ingesting.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I started out with cannabis oil. I do my own extractions. Started out with cannabis oil and coconut oil, and found the relief on my hands, nice. That immediate relief type of thing for a little while, but I didn't like the greasiness. So me being me, I took more courses. I went to school. I learned a little bit about formulating and cosmetics and that kind of stuff. So got a formula together and worked on it, and did stability tests, and now we're ready to go commercial with it.
Really, that's very exciting. So you created a topical. You created sort of a lotion or cream kind of to rub on the skin or a sensitive area that's experiencing pain. As you mentioned, like for your arthritis on your hands, for instance, you put on the topical and you experience pain relief, which is really exciting, I think, for a lot of people. And now you're ready to bring this product to market. That's fantastic. What's the name of the topical?
So the topical is called Cool and Calm.
What was it again?
Cool and Calm. Cool and Calm.
Cool and Calm. Got it. Okay, that's a great name.
Yeah, so it's because of some of the ingredients in there, the oil, those are the effect that it gives. So that's hence the name. It's good branding, and it's alliterative, right? You got the cool and C and C. Love it. Yes, and it was just for myself, and then of course I'm a golfer, so I take it out to the golf course with me, and then people would aches and pains. I'd say, oh, here, have a sample of this, and so that's how it came about. And yes, done focus studies on it and stability testing, so it's ready to go. That's very exciting. So where can people, if right now, like if people are interested listening, where could they pick up some of this Cool and Calm topical? So it should be released at the end of this month in Ontario and Alberta. We actually have a joint venture with Alberta Bud. It's a licensed producer. They're a micro-licensed producer here. Got it. And it is under their umbrella. All right. So it'll be available in Ontario, you said, and then was it Alberta as well? Alberta, yep, and we are looking at Saskatchewan also. Very exciting, cool. So listener, if you're looking for some topical to get some pain relief, and Cool and Calm, a cannabis topical, courtesy of Irene Donohue. This sounds like a great product, and I definitely look forward to. I'll take a look, and anytime I get up to Canada, I'll definitely take a look, and try and get some of that myself. That would be great. When you're up in Canada, let me know, and I will get you some. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Make sure you have some. Hey. And the nice thing about this topical, Don, is that it's made with premium products. So it's premium oils, it's premium moisturizers, it's premium pain ingredients. And the one thing that kind of sets us apart from other topicals is I'm a firm believer in whole plant medicine. So it's not using isolates. It's whole plant. It's the terpenes. It's all the cannabinoids and the flavonoids. It's all of it. Nice. That's very good. And I think that's meaningful to a lot of people as well. I've spoken to some guests in the past talking about, using whole trichomes of CBD and such. And just that notion of using the whole plant, I think, is very appealing for a lot of reasons. And I think just as you mentioned before, as you were creating the recipe for this thing and you just kind of noticed that some of your first stuff, it was too greasy or whatever. I think that I noticed that with lotions and stuff all the time. That's sort of the main thing as to whether or not, I like the thing or go back, whether it's soap or any kind of something that you'd rub on. If it's too oily or too greasy and it just kind of lingers there, that can be sort of unpleasant. And I think your attention, and your attention to that detail is, it bodes very well for the product. It's exciting to think about. Well, thanks. We really love it. And, everybody that's tried it, we're getting such positive feedback, and it works. That's the main thing on it, right? It works. And again, that is because of the entourage effect with whole plant. Yeah, I'm always so fascinated with that entourage effect. There's hundreds of substances in cannabis plants, and THC, CBD being the most prominent, of course. But I doing even a little bit of reading about it early on, the notion of people trying to take those isolates and basically elicit desired symptoms, whether they might be the munchies or pain relief or whatever you might be trying to recreate with a cannabis product. And people really struggled with being able to isolate those things because of the entourage effect, because these substances all need to work together to really produce that desired effect. That's right. Well, and I compare it kind of like having a peanut butter and jam sandwich. So if you're going to use cannabis for therapeutic purposes, it's kind of like the peanut butter and jam sandwich. You want all of it. Isolates are a peanut butter and jam sandwich without the peanut butter. You're still getting full. You're still getting that, that eating, but you're not getting the proteins. You're not getting the bulk of what you need from the peanut butter.
Right, just sort of that empty sugar calories kind of stuff in the jam. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
You're going to feel full, and you're going to feel a little bit of that sugar buzz from the jam in the sandwich, but you're not going to get it all.
Right, and you'll be back like half an hour later, making another sandwich. Totally, that's a great.
And with cannabis, that could be really expensive.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm sure there are people listening to this right now who they've experienced that probably, and that's a really great to know that you've sort of taken that into account with making this product as well. And it's cool to know that you specifically take it out on the golf course as well, because I've just been sort of getting into that the last few years, and I can see that I think that'll be quite useful as the years go on.
Oh yeah, it's in my bag, and as soon as I give it to somebody else, I have to replace it. So there's always a jar in my golf bag for sure. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Irene Donohue, again, very excited for Cool and Calm. And listener, if you're interested in finding out a little more, you can go to that website, medicalcannabishealthservices.com, and check out what they got going on there. Irene, thanks again for jumping on. I like to kind of just wrap these up by doing some quick hits questions, just kind of 5 yes or no, what do you like kind of thing. Are you game for this? I sure am.
All right, great. Here we go. First quick hit question, morning bird or night owl? Which are you?
Oh, God, night owl.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You know what? People getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, it's like, I don't know why somebody would do that. Unless they had to. Right,
just not relatable. I just don't understand it. Yeah, no, I get that totally. All right, cool. So more night owl for you. And then what's your favorite sort of cuisine, like a special meal, whether it's a restaurant or if it's, just a piece of food item that somebody makes really well that but if it's a special occasion, you're like your birthday or you're celebrating something, what's like a meal that you really want to hit?
Well, for celebrations, I like actually family dinners. I like having, whether they're roast beef or turkey dinners, I really, really enjoy those.
Nice.
Yeah. So off myself, like today for lunch, I'm craving bok choy with garlic and olive oil. Wow.
That sounds really tasty.
It is actually.
Nice. All right, well, cool. That's pretty good. And of course, a roast beef or turkey dinner, family dinners are excellent too. Totally like those as well. Drug of choice, and I ask this of all my guests, mainly like, cannabis is big, and I know we've touched on that too, so that can be the answer, but I'm just curious if you have another, like if you're a coffee drinker or tea drinker, or if you have wine or beer with dinner, anything like that?
You know what? I like coffee. I'm an herb girl. I don't drink a whole lot. I'm definitely an herb girl, and my preference is hash.
Hash, right on. Okay, cool. And do you sort of roll that up in a joint? Do you make your own?
With menthol.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Hash with menthol in a joint is so good.
Wow. Yeah,
that's my go-to for preparation.
Wow, that sounds tasty. And I'm assuming you make your own probably, right? Is that yeah?
Yes, we do.
Wow. Yeah. That's fantastic. Good for you. That sounds tasty and refreshing. Let me see what else. Oh, favorite what are you watching? TV, movies? Like what's a go-to movie that you'll always leave on if you come across it, or if you're, just happy to sort of see it anytime?
Geez, I'm older, so the Tin Cup is good, or not the Tin Cup, Bagger Vance. I love Bagger Vance.
Oh, yeah.
And The Notebook. And The Notebook, I just recently, it's funny because it's been out for years, and I just saw it in the last couple of years, and because of my mom's dementia, obviously, I'm kind of partial to that movie. Sure,
yeah, that makes sense, and that is a classic. I remember just, in the years after it came out, like that was just such a household name of a movie, for many different reasons, I think, but yeah, that does make sense. And then finally, just music. Or what sort of, if you're looking to unwind or you're looking to kind of get yourself amped up for 18 holes, earlier in the day, what's some music or an artist or just a genre that you go to?
You know what? It's funny because I'm a mixed genres, right, from old to new, and I really like top 40s, but I have a friend that says, I don't know, how can you do that? He says, we can sit in your backyard and one song will come on and it's rap and the next one will be country. He says, how do you do that?
Oh, so eclectic. You have an eclectic taste in music, a lot of different genres. Yeah.
I do, and it's amazing. My grandkids are amazed that I'm so up on music, though. So I have to say, Don, I'm a young grandma, really young grandma. So.
Yeah, no, hey, if rap is coming on in the backyard, I believe that, definitely, 100%. And that sounds cool. I feel similarly about myself, my brother, too. I feel like my brother likes to put music on when we're on the golf course, and the mix that comes on, I mean, it'll be like Kanye to Frank Sinatra to Lady Gaga. I mean, it is such a wild bounce between. You just wouldn't believe it. And there definitely some remarks on the golf course we'll get from that music.
Yep. Well, and it's really good because if you're having kind of a bad game and you can switch the channel and put on a good song and then all of a sudden you're just kind of beating along to it, right?
Yes, yeah. That's the magical thing about music and just audio in general. It can really just transport you to a different state of mind pretty quickly. I love that.
That's right, yes. Yes, and that's what I do like. I have to say, I do like golfing. I don't drink beer or anything like that on the golf course, but I do like having a puff of a 1-to-1, equal amounts of CBD and THC and not very strong because I want to have a good golf game.
Yes. That's a great point. And I'm trying to find that sweet spot myself, where you're relaxed and you're still focused and you don't want to go over the threshold because you don't want the game to suffer. I'm searching for that myself.
That's right. Yeah. And it's the old adage, right? Start low, go slow, find your sweet spot, and
yes.
Away you go.
Exactly. Well, a lot of great information here in this interview, and a lot of cool vibes. It sounds like up in your part of Canada, Irene. Thank you so much for jumping on the show, and thanks for what you're doing with medical cannabis health services. And everybody, look for Cool and Calm Topical pretty soon around those the territories that Irene just mentioned later in the month. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Cool. All right, great. Well, again, thanks again, Irene, for jumping on, and hopefully we can talk again in the future.
That would be great. Thanks very much, John. It was a real pleasure.
All right, great. Take care. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. Bye now.
Yeah, there you have it, listener. I want to thank again my guest, Irene Donohue. It sounds like she has a great product there, didn't it? She really took the time to get educated, not just that this was sort of something she was able to do because of the medical status and able to just kind of grow in her backyard, but really took the time, made the effort to go get certified in different fields, and then used that knowledge to really up the quality of the products that she makes, including this Cool and Calm Topical, which I'm really excited to try out, and I'm excited to hear what you think about it as well. Before I let you go this week, listener, last thing I wanted to say, I have entered into an affiliation with 420pipes.com. You might remember last week's episode, I interviewed Nick Thomas, who created the website, and I just really not only like the products that they have now that I've tried a few myself, but really the mission that Nick and the people there are buying into, which is to support local head shops, local cannabis businesses, but also make it easy on the consumer by giving that convenience of online shopping, but you can also select specific local shops and order through the site online. And I think it's a great mission. It's a great idea, and they have excellent products. And there's some there if you're looking: bowls, pipes, bongs, roach clips, grinders, holders. They've got anything you might need for different occasions. And Nick always has some stuff on sale there every day for $4.20. And it's not cheaply made stuff either. I definitely think the quality standard they have there is pretty good. And that's why I'm going to be sharing those links on the show's social pages. They'll be on cannabismanpodcast.com. And the next time you're in the market for any one of those products, just go ahead and click one of those links on the show pages, and it'll take you to 420pipes.com, and definitely avail yourself of some of the stuff they've got there. And that's all I've got for you this week, listener. I'll be back again next week with another episode, another interview, and discussions, opinions, news articles, and items that are worthy of your attention concerning cannabis as it's changing before our eyes every day on the Cannabis Man podcast. Cannabis Man is an original production of myself, Don Kleppen. Original theme music by Yusu Kim, a.k.a. Goodson. Other music by Pat Perez, and logo designed by Vorbroker Media. If you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe, and share whenever you can.